no existence because someone forgot to turn the lights on one day in heaven, right? So there's like nothing. And obviously, I'm pulling away from naturalism for a second, but let's say the rock didn't fall that day that turned on the lights. And so everything goes away for 5 seconds, but then it gets back on. Yeah, of course, there's more to come, but if there's a permanent lights off, and it will always be the lights off, regardless of how people act and the planets dance, etc., then yeah, I mean, like, that has no impact on absolute meaning.
This assumes that it's always forever one way.
Yeah, I think that's what the best evidence suggests, that we will be, from the naturalistic perspective, held as the only variable, then the heat death is all ultimately the same regardless of how atoms dance.
So you're also arguing tenseless at the same time, because it sounded like you were more in favor of a...
No. How does that dispute my position for tensed?
Because, well, I thought you were arguing for tense before.
I am arguing.
It seems to argue tenseless because there's no difference then between past, present, future.
Yeah, I do believe that we live in a tense theory, which is called the A theory as well, if anybody wants to know.
So then you do believe there is a difference.
We must be talking past each other, because I do believe that just because there's a moment where there's equilibrium, but there's more to come, obviously that's not the end state. That's true on tense or tenseless, but I do believe in the tense theory, yeah.
Okay, is it still kind of... I don't know, I'm having issues with... I guess maybe maybe I thought you were arguing more tenseless than tense, so...
Oh, I'm very tensed. Very.
He's tense all the time.
Yeah, man.
Relax, man. Needs a massage. I still don't see a functional difference because of how you're defining it is still just based on state, but you define it as like future state, but future state is further down the timeline, so it's inherently different, if all the atoms are in the same spot.
Obviously, I don't have my bachelor's degree yet, right? But let's say it was a certainty that in the future, though it doesn't exist yet, I have my master's degree. I don't have my master's degree yet, but in the future, I will have my master's degree, and then that will be a true statement. And if there was no alternative, that someone's going to hand me this certificate, then it doesn't matter if I study or don't. Like, I'm just going to get it regardless.
Well, I mean, in terms of one particular aspect of that outcome, only the one you've arbitrarily narrowed it down to.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is that one piece of paper, but there's more than just that, even in a naturalistic view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what a lot of naturalists that I use this word cope will say is like, oh, for the temporary times that existed, it was meaningful to them, right? But you're talking about temporal subjective meaning at that point. What we introduced from the very beginning when I was talking to Steve was absolute meaning.
Well, I mean, I can't play devil's advocate enough for that, because I don't believe there could be absolute meaning in a naturalistic universe, but you know.
Yeah, and I'm not just interjecting that word now. I said that from the very beginning.
So I just think, I guess the issue I have is I just take issue with how you use the endpoint as basically your root for the definition of value. But
it's just.
So let me ask you this, Grunt. If you consider the so-called absolute meaning of the universe, which is, the heat death of the universe, nothing matters, is the end of story. If you consider that relevant to your life, has there ever been any exception in your life that you're living subjectively, that you said, you know what, I'm not going to pursue this activity, because trillions of years from now on it won't matter? You haven't refused sex for that state. You haven't refused hamburger tastes good, sex tastes good. You don't refuse to live your life because trillions of years from now on it won't matter, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not, it has no impact whether or not the river flows up or down, right? That has no impact on what things do. That has impact on the final state of affairs, regardless of what things chose to do.
Butterfly effect.
So I guess the simple answer here is going to, when you're talking about your ultimate meaning, is going to depend on whether or not you include facts, right? Because we still like you still argued that like even God can't erase past facts of the truth. He can't erase the fact that such and such a person did thus and such a thing.
So at the heat death of the universe, whether or not there's ultimate meaning, it's just going to depend on whether or not you think facts exist, right? Because if those facts still exist, then that universe is different. And if facts don't exist absent an observer, then the universe isn't any different.
So, I'll make sure that we are talking about the same thing here. Obviously, if baby Hitler becomes president or Mother Teresa becomes president, obviously the past is different, but the past doesn't exist anymore, nor does it have any bearing on the present state of the heat death. That's what I'm talking about.
And I guess it depends on when you say that the past doesn't exist. Does that include facts about the past? So
no, it doesn't.
So when I say that Mother Teresa becomes president, 10,000 years later, the past doesn't exist. Does that mean Mother Teresa became president and is now false or has no truth value?
I think I did you a disservice, and I swear I'm not trying to bring the drapes over your eyes. When I'm talking, obviously I believe the past is a reality in that it occurred. When I'm saying the past is not reality anymore, is the sense that it's not existent, it's gone, right? That doesn't mean it doesn't have any butterfly, as Skybox said, on the present, right? Or that it was the case, right? It was true, and that's an objective fact. It is a fact, just like you said, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it's interesting because, like, obviously it doesn't exist in a certain sense, because if it did, the mass of the universe would be infinitely increasing every moment, because the universe would be like a weird silly string that's getting longer and longer. So obviously it doesn't exist in that sense. However, there has to be some difference between, Hitler was Chancellor of Germany and ooga booga baga 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 nonsense state, right? In order for Hitler was Chancellor of Germany to be true, there has to be a difference between the past, despite the fact that it doesn't exist, and a bunch of nonsense that never existed. There's still a difference there, and if it's not existence, I don't know what else to call it, because
maybe we phrase it like this: regardless of the facts of the past, it will have zero distinction to how it impacts the heat death of the universe.
Right.
So if you chose to stay home or to study, you still get the MBA. So what happened had no impact on the end result.
Right. Again, unless the truth and falsehood of facts is part of the end result. And I think that they are.
Why?
Well, because we agree that they're objectively true. So they exist in some sense. So, what else do we have besides facts? If you're cataloging everything about a universe, in that catalog, even if it were at the heat death of the universe, one of the things that you would catalog would be that, a billion years ago, this and this and this happened.
Well, would you include in that the second law of thermodynamics as a observable past, present, and future, fact?
Assuming it's true, yeah.
Do you assume it's true?
Well, there's some weird shit about quantum physics and Einstein that I think has poked some holes in Newtonian physics. So I'm not really qualified to say if it's absolutely true. It's my understanding that it is. But like I said, I thought quantum physics fucked a lot with those laws of thermodynamics and the shit that Newton came up with.
If it was true,
yeah,
that would be the only thing that really matters trillions of years from now.
Okay. In your sense of matters, but again, that's what I'm taking issue with. It seems like if facts are objectively true, they must exist in some sense, and that's part of the end state of the universe. That's not just materialism. That's super duper materialism. I think there's plenty of atheists and naturalists that still think that facts and numbers exist, aren't there? Or do you think it's
oh, they will exist 100% as in their form of Platonism, right? They're just forms, right? Yeah, they still exist, but they would have existed regardless of how anybody danced, and they have no impact on the final state of affairs.
Them existing is an impact on the final state of affairs.
Oh, the idea of a triangle still exists, But does it have any difference of impact that the idea of the triangle still exists, regardless of how the atoms dance leading up to the heat death? I don't think so.
I think you've actually just admitted a difference, but said it didn't matter. Additional effects existing in some sense in the end state is an inherent difference.
Woohoo.
But you just like kind of redefine it back down to like the state of matter, I guess. But
well, I guess that's so. What can exist are ideas, right? Like triangles, numbers, and stuff. Those are ideas. Now, do they actually exist? That's a debate for philosophy, right? Like, but if you ask me, does the idea of a triangle exist? If anybody was around to think about it, yes. Does it exist independently, like in any possible world? Yes. Does it have any impact on the final state of the heat death, in that it could come into existence, or that it will change the final state? No.
So this is talking about like if a hypothetical concept, like if that could exist, an idea, even if no one thought it or not. But what about an actual historical event? Because that's quite a bit different than a concept.
Like the laws of physics, I have a good reason to believe will still exist on a naturalistic worldview.
Well, what's a law? Is a law just like a description of like a correlation, or is it more than that? Because if it's just a description of a correlation, the correlation's going to stop happening. But if the law exists, even though there's no particles in motion, that comes pretty close to what I'm saying. Like, I think a law still existing is pretty analogous to a fact about the past still existing.
Like if I don't actually understand what you said there, to be honest.
Okay, if a law of physics, like second law of thermodynamics, still exists at the heat death of the universe, like a law doesn't have mass. A law isn't
it's just a
wavelength of energy. So if those exist, then I would say that facts about the past exist in the same sense. They're pretty similar animals, a law and a fact. So I can imagine one universe where, you know, the universe materially is identical to ours at the heat death of the universe. It's like evenly distributed motionless particles, right? I guess that's probably what the heat death of the universe is. That's what I'm going to say it is. So you've got two universes. You've got two universes that are in that exact same state. In one of those universes, it's there because of the second law of thermodynamics. In the other universe, same state, but it's there for a completely different reason. There is no second law of thermodynamics. There's a complete other set of laws, but nevertheless, that universe is in the state of what we would call heat death of the universe, and it's going to stay that way forever. Are those two different universes, or are they identical?
We're talking about the actual universe, though, right?
Uh-huh.
So, regardless of what laws decay or stay constant in this parallel universe, or in what's important, the actual universe, because we actually live in the actual universe, it will not change. What we do doesn't change that, to the best of our knowledge.
Wait, is there a difference between the two? You said there's
Well,
you're effectively arguing that there's...
I'm assuming he's talking about possible world theory, right?
Uh-huh.
Like
Absolutely.
Worlds. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
is a possible world where the universe is evenly distributed particles of motionless ash because of the second law of thermodynamics? Is that different than a world where evenly distributed particles, but there's no second law of thermodynamics?
What I will say to that is, I think it might help to adjust what the best thoughts of what the heat death of the universe is. It's not motionless particles; they decay completely.
Okay, well, whatever the state is, if this physical state is identical, and in one universe it got there through the second law of thermodynamics, but in another universe it got there through another law, or maybe it was always there. And
regardless of how you got there, if the end state is just the end state, I suppose it doesn't really matter.
Really? So but I thought you said that these laws would still exist.
They'll still exist, but they have no impact on what's going on. So if, like, the law of gravity was 2 times stronger, right, in this other world, and it's only 1 time as strong in the actual world, right? It's 1x gravity, right, in the actual world. But the end conditions are the same because it doesn't impact anything. Everything's decayed. There's nothing for it to impact. There's meaningly, in the meaningful sense, because it will never interact with anything ever again. It's meaningless.
Unless one of the unless one of the facets of that end state is the presence or absence of these laws.
I mean, if you want to like interject.
Howdy.
Blood and thunder. For the Horde.
Oh.
Oh. Pig, I didn't see you come in.
That's not fine. How y'all doing, mate?
Ais, stepped away like an hour and a half ago, saying she's only going to be gone for half an hour. But she's probably, helping her husband right now at home.
Oh, that's alright. Wait, is Ice, Kernisha in-game?
No, that's me.
Alright.
I'm Kernissa.
I am Extra Coom.
Okay. Yeah, people just call me Kern. All my tunes begin with Kern.
Usually mine start with pig, but... Usually all mine start with pig, but I decided to change it up this time.
That's the thing, like, I have, like... I guess I shouldn't say all my tunes. I have, like, 2 or 3 tunes across classic, retail, both factions combined. Like, 2 or 3 tunes that don't begin with Kern.
Well,
And it's not, they're not even anything like Kern.
See, mine are either something that has to do with pig or just a reference to an anime character. This one, I don't know what I was thinking.
I was gonna say, are you a farmer?
I am not. It actually has something to do with my last name, but...
The last name's Pig? Or is it Bacon?
It has pig in the name.
Ah. Your last name's Pig Bacon?
Yeah, sure. Let's go
Nice
with that.
last name, dude.
Yeah, we'll just go with that. It's Pig Bacon. I'm Mr. Pig Bacon.
Man. People would think, oh, yeah, I'm going to make fun of his last name. Nope, that is just like the best last name ever.
Yeah. I was just called Piggy growing up all the time, so it's just stuck.
My last name is Wehner.
W-E-H-N. Oh, sorry, Duchy.
How do you think you pronounce that?
Oh, it took me a second. Sorry.
Wehner.
Weinar.
Farewell.
Sounds German, so I'm gonna say Weinar instead of the obvious.
It is German. In German, it would pronounce Wanner. But most people like to try to say Wiener. So I get when somebody if somebody tried to call you Piggy, I got Wiener. I know how you feel.
Yeah. Hey, I just leaned into it. And I would just, every time someone called me, I'd be like, sweet!
There's a university near where I live right now. Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville.
Holy shit, that's like an hour from me.
What's it? Where are you at?
Well, okay, maybe not an hour, like an hour and a half. I'm outside of St. Louis.
We're outside St. Louis.
St. Charles?
Dude, I'm over in Olivet.
Oh, sweet. You guys have great bowling lanes. That's a weird thing to say, but yeah, you guys have great bowling lanes there.
Help you with?
You know what's really funny? I live right across the street from those bowling lanes.
Oh, okay. I think I know exactly where you live. You live right off of,
Go with
what's that road called? Olive. You live right off Olive.
I do. You guys have a nice Hooters.
Yeah. It's definitely better than the Hooters that's off 364 over there. Like, holy shit, though. Small fucking world.
Wait a minute. Which one's off of 364?
It's right next to the Red Roof Inn. I don't think I think. It's...
Oh! You're talking off of Page.
Page. I call it the same thing. I just call it all 364.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's that one right in the Westport area.
I just moved to the area in September.
Oh, well, welcome to the area.
Oh my God! We're up 2-0.
What you watching?
I work over at WashU.
Oh, okay.
And I work in the athletic department, and the women's soccer team is playing in the national championship game right now.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome.
We're up. They're playing out in Vegas. They're up 2-0 with 13 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game.
Nice.
We what's funny is I didn't work for WashU then, but WashU's women's soccer team was in the national championship game last year.
Be safe.
And they played the national championship game was in Virginia at the college where I was working at the time.
Oh wow, that's
so I got to see them play that, and they lost unfortunately by 1 goal. But now I'm at WashU, and oh my God, this would be awesome. Oh, come on, 13 minutes. Thing is, we have a very, very good defense.
That's good.
I think this entire that was a good save. I think we've only given up 1 goal this entire NCAA tournament.
Sweet.
And that was in a round where we won the game 5-1. Like, towards the end, our coach put in some players that, wouldn't normally get to play in a close game.
Oh,
okay. 3-0. I got to see that goal. Oh my God! 12 minutes left and we're up 3-0. Sorry, I'm so excited for these girls are so calm, nice. Their coach is like amazing, like super friendly. Oh my gosh! Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm just like super excited.
Not a problem. Not a problem. It's good to see people pass.
Oh, that was off a corner and. All 3 goals have come in the second half too.
They were playing the long game. They're doing the Rocky Balboa method, just wear them down, then last half.
Oh my God! And we have control of the ball again.
Let's see.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, the one off of what you would say 364. That was actually the first one I went to, in the area. I actually don't mind that one. Then I went to the one. I guess it's down towards I guess it's like South County, like way south.
I don't think I've been to that one.
Then I went to the one there in St. Charles like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Had a really fucking douchebag guy. Like, he was sitting like in the one corner at the bar there, like at the one end, and there was an open seat, or I guess no, there wasn't there was an open seat next to him, and then a guy next to that, but there was like a decent amount of space in between the seats themselves. And I go up and I was like, is anybody sitting here? He just kind of like scoffs and turns his head. The other guy's like, no, you're good. So he sits down, and the other guy like immediately gets up and goes around to the other end of the bar, and I could hear him talk to then the guy next to him, and was like, yeah, there was no room over there. He didn't give me any room. Jeez. And I was like, you fucking douchebag.
What an asshole. I was just at Hot Shots over in Winsville with my ex-wife and her family, just hanging out, playing pool, and we were just dealing with a bunch of douchey kids just coming in and out, being loud and obnoxious, like most of the night.